Hi everybody, we are here to finally paint our peony. So if you haven't sketched yours yet, there's a sketching video already posted that you can go to and sketch the whole thing with me. If you don't want to do that and you just want to look at a reference, there is the free printable right here, and that is our peony. And we've got ours sketched already onto the paper that I've been painting on. This is what she looks like, but now we're going to go ahead and paint together. So let's talk about supplies for just one hot second. Okay, so we're gonna need some kind of a watercolor palette. I have a size 10 watercolor brush. I love this one. It's linked below if you would like the same one. I don't think you'll really need your pencil and eraser, but you might need it later on if you wanted to kind of reinforce some details. I have some water in my little jar here, and I like to have a nice towel. So we've got that, and then I think two more things. A little spray bottle to spray your watercolor paints with, and then if you have an old hair dryer or some kind of a heat tool, you will be good to go. I think that's all we need, but then obviously we're gonna light our candle and we're gonna kind of make a lovely space. I think candy is a good idea for today, but you do you. Okay, the moment we've been waiting for. Let's do this painting. Let's start out with a little bit of observation here, and then we'll get right into mixing up our colors and we'll get going. So, she's pretty, right? What color is this? I feel like a little bit of a reddish pink color. We're not leaning into purple in this one, but you can do any color that you want. You just need to stay within like lights, mediums, and darks within whatever color you choose. And we just kind of have, so like variations of that one color. Then we have a little bit of yellow, maybe like a burnt sienna or a brown color, whatever you'd like to do for the center there. And then we'll have kind of a light green and a darker green, but they need to both be in the same, like if it's a yellow green, the darker color is also a yellow green, not a blue green, unless you're messing around and you want to make it teal. I don't know. You're the boss of you, okay? And yeah, so I think we just need to make sure that like we even save some white space. There's a little bit here, and that really helps because it's hard to differentiate like and get depth, but we really do want to see it. And so these dark spots are really important too. We want to make sure that when we do it, you don't be afraid. Get into those dark colors. You can always do it again. Okay, so this is this. We will, this is my paint palette. And so you can always kind of refresh your paints, get your brush in your water, and just keep using them. But for today, I'm dipping my paper towel. I dipped it into the water jar a little bit. I might leave these greens and maybe these yellow and burnt sienna, but I'm gonna get rid of all the rest because this leans towards purple, and that's not what I'm doing today. So I wanna have like a nice workspace. It's crazy, this isn't that much paint. You're not wasting a lot, and it gives you a nice fresh palette. So sometimes I feel like this is the move. And just make sure it's like kind of nice and dry. Toss that aside. Let's get out our little spray bottle. It's just nice to get that all nice and glossy. All right, I couldn't resist. I had to have a drink of coffee. Okay, I'm taking my water, my brush into my water jar. Let's see if I can show you. And first I'm getting that wet. So then with a full brush of water, I'm gonna come here, choose my color, and start to make up some puddles. This will definitely set us up for success. So don't skip on this part. I want to find the color that I want, and I don't think it's pink and I don't think it's purple. So I'm gonna live somewhere in this zone right here on my paint palette. If you just have red, start with, just grab the red that you have. You can always try to mix it with other colors, like maybe you want a little bit of orange in it or something. Just see what you've got. That's a little too dark of a red, so I'm gonna come over here into the ones that lean towards orange, just so I can try to find what is the color I actually wanna see here. If these are all too bright for you, you could try to add just one touch of a green and see what happens, but it's gonna take over kind of quickly, and I just want you to be prepared for that. But it'll take it from like a red to like a dusty red. Let me zoom in again now so we can see what we're doing. So right now I'm playing. I'm like, okay, I like that. I like this one maybe better, but really, I mean, here's our color again. Okay, so it's not red exactly, it's pink. So I'm just trying to find the color that I like. Notice I'm taking my time to do so. That's important. I don't know, I kind of like this. I think I'm gonna go, I'm adding a little bit more red to it, and then I will do one touch of green. And wow, that really quickly changed it, but I don't know if I like it yet, so I'm adding water and cleaning out my brush so I can play with it a little bit longer. It's pretty nice, actually. You can always get into your white paint if you wanted to. Some people say like, it's watercolor, don't do that, but we don't care about that, so do whatever you want. Look, I'll grab some. I'll lead by example. Of course, it always gets this white all messy, but that's okay. Yeah, I kind of like that. Get into my pink just a little bit. I can't resist it. You want a nice color that you like, but you have to remember how you got there, because if this is your medium color right here, and look how much water I have, I'll have lots to work with. Okay, then I want to kind of swipe my brush over here, and I'll add water to that in a second. So I'll have this light color, and now I kind of want to try to create this same thing that I just made, but in a little bit darker. So if you're adding green, oh, just add the tiniest bit. It just goes so fast. But yeah, I like what I just did here. So how I got this was I took a red, I mixed the teeniest bit of a pink into it, very little water, notice, because you know, water makes your color lighter. So when you're doing a dark color and it's not very much space, you just don't add too much water. So we've got this, and then I did one little touch of green, just like boop, and mixed it up. Now I'm just making sure I like it. So if you ever mix it and you're like, I don't like that, then you stop for a second, clean all that pigment out of your brush, and maybe you start an entirely different puddle. You're totally the boss of you. In fact, that's like real pretty. I just took pink and orange, but I'm not gonna go through and do the whole thing again. But like immediately I liked it better even. Okay, so just play with your paints. Maybe you just take one whole day and just try to mix all different colors with your paints. So we've got this, I'm feeling pretty good. Oops, I have to add my water to this one still. And now I've got this nice lightness we definitely need. So if you look at, this is the free printable from our 30-day series, and in it, so see it's a little booklet, and one of them is the value scale. So what we want here is like our paint puddles to be falling in like really light, somewhere medium, somewhere dark. Like we're just going for 3 right now, but that matters in how we can perceive depth. So that's pretty important. Okay, look at this beautiful watercolor. We don't, like, you gotta just take a second and appreciate that. That's part of what's just lovely about watercolor painting. And then we'll come back here. Let me see how I'm gonna film today so you can see it all. Do this without knocking over my tripod. Hold on, we're coming closer. Okay, great. I think this will be perfect. It's always like fun when you put them next to each other, then you can see all the differences, like, oh, it's a little bit bigger and whatever. Okay. All right, so we're color matching and shape matching. I want you to keep it real simple in your head. We're gonna look for light, medium, dark, but actually we'll go white, light, medium, dark. Think about it like that. So we wanna, don't touch where you want it to be white, which I think I see like 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 spots where I see that. And especially if you like squint your eyes or whatever, those are valuable. That just really helps us to understand it. So I want to try to not touch those at all. That way, if your light gets darker than you want, you still have like lightness. So I had a clean, dry brush, and I put about the first third of my brush or half of my brush into the lightest color. And I am going to start looking at this and chunking in the light color over here. You with me? So look, I'm not touching the top of that petal. So we're simplifying it by light, medium, dark, but you can always do that like while it's wet, or like you don't have to go exactly like that. You just need to watch and see what happens while you're painting. So if you wanted to like add, you know, a dark pink to this while it's wet, you can do that. I'm not going to do it that way right now, but just a reminder that like you can do this any way you want. There's lots of ways to do it. I'm finding ones that are pretty much exclusively like light first. And if you'll notice when you look at our Peony, which if you want to take a screenshot while I'm not covering it, go for it. But you'll notice that I chunked in the colors, like there's hard lines. I didn't worry about a nice soft blend between anything, and we don't need to. This keeps it where you're not focused on too many things at once. Now from here, let's get, so notice I'm just finding those really light ones. And in a second, what I want to do is actually lift off some of that light paint, so we even get like variation within those. So I think this one, So hopefully you're just looking back and forth with me, or you're just following along. Either way is great. I think I can even do this side of this big petal. Oops, leave this part white. I almost covered it. You can do the whole thing, that's fine, and we'll go over it. You could only leave your white spaces white and then do this whole thing light pink, and then add the medium pink and let it dry, and then add the dark pink and let it dry. I'm just maybe not that orderly. Like I like to understand the different ways of doing things, but that doesn't mean I have to do them, right? So I feel like that's pretty good. I'm gonna we don't have to be done, but I'm gonna clean out my brush. I'm wiping it on my towel, and before these fully dry, if I wanted to have, like, maybe I wanted a little bit more lightness on this side of this one, I can just kind of press and lift, dry my brush on my towel, and come back. Also, if you're trying to teach somebody watercolor, just say what you're doing. Say every step as much as you can remember too. So like when I say I'm drying my brush on my towel and coming back, lifting and drying my brush on my towel, it's like I'm trying to give you every step. Okay, this is cute. I didn't do a lot there because it's so light, it's hard to see when you lift, but I still feel like it's valuable. From here, I'm gonna take my brush, I'm gonna get just a little bit of that darker, like I'm getting into like one level darker. And now I'm gonna keep going. I'm looking for that lightness. You can really do this in a variety of ways, but let's, for now, within those light ones that we did, like look, it gets a little darker over here. What if I just add it while it's a little wet? And I'm not worrying about that blending. Maybe right here on the bottom of this one. So like the bottoms of the petals are gonna be tucked in more, so that's might be where you find like more of that shadowing. Do a little here. Maybe a little bit here, but I know I'm going to get even darker with it later. Okay, this is giving us a little bit of variation, which I like. Get into the bottoms of those. Now, if you have, and you're doing this and you're like losing control, you have too much water. And if it's not blending at all, it's already just hard lines. That just means you used a little bit less water, and then you can decide, does that mean you want to use more water or not? We're always just looking and kind of assessing, you know, what you think. Your eye is what determines your art, not someone else's. Okay, I like this. I'm almost ready to go a little darker with it, but I'm just like looking back and forth for a second. This feels pretty good. So you get safe if you just stop for a second and dry it. So let's all just take a pause, look at it, and then I'm just gonna get out my dryer. I'll do it. Sorry you're gonna hear it, but I'll just do it real quick. Okay, so sometimes we try for these really nice soft blends, but like I really love what's happening on this petal right here, where you can see some layering, and you know, you just see some of it. We don't want it to all go away. So I'm digging that. I'm going to get my brush into a little bit darker of paint again now, and we'll see what else we got. So I'm going into these and going like one level darker wherever I see it. Usually it's going to be these inside bottom tucked in spots. This whole thing I'm going to do right here. And if you're looking at it and you're like, oh, this isn't as dark as I thought it was, then just adjust while you're there. Just keep adjusting. Great. And if you don't plan on blending, maybe just look at what shape you're creating and make sure you like that. Now, while this is wet, we can add one layer darker into it with a wet on wet technique again if we want. So I have very little water on my brush. I have just enough where it feels nice, not more than that. I'm gonna get this one. So I'm constantly looking at this one, because it's one thing to follow me, which is great, excellent way to begin. This time I'm actually cleaning my brush, drying it, and I'm going to soften this line so I can leave it light. But what am I saying? But the more you can learn for you to look at it and you to see what you think, that's how you're going to really determine your own style. And also we all see a little differently, so it's pretty cool. Getting darkness in the bottom of this one. Love it. I want to get this one. I think maybe the paint on my brush is too dark. So right now I'm just going to swipe a little bit on my palette and then like the tip of my brush in my water and make a new puddle real quick, just to make sure it's not too dark. If it ever is too dark, you can clean your brush, dry it, and just lift it right up. You just have to work quickly if it's a color that's, you know, some of them will just start staining your paper quick. I'm loving this. This morning I got up and I had like puff pastry in my fridge, which I haven't used, and like I needed to, and also was like a treat. I'm not going to blend that. I like that a lot. And I had apricot jam and cream cheese, so I decided to just whip up a little breakfast pastry. Doesn't that sound delicious? And it was, so that's fun. Okay, I'm looking for that same medium color. I'm trying to like skip my whites still. Don't accidentally cover them. I'm trying to skip my really dark colors. I'm in just, you know, we're kind of slowly working up in value here, which just means more paint on our brush, or like into your puddle each time. But now I'm getting into the darker ones. So start those here. And if I can fill this layer of darkness in kind of all at the same time, then in a second, I will be able to load a darker color into all of those at the same time while they're wet. Make sense a little bit? Okay, I'm gonna swipe onto this one now. Just a big swipe on that front petal. Isn't that beautiful? Just be brave, get it in there. You can always redo this. Okay, now on this one, I wanted lightness, so I'm cleaning my brush and drying it, and with a damp brush, I'm just going like that and softening up that little edge. And I think I just did it once again, but I'm stopping myself because I'm actually trying not to do that. And now I want that darker color, so I'm refreshing mine real quick because it just didn't look as dark as I wanted it. I'm just doing dark red, very little water, and a tiny bit of green in there, and then watch, we're gonna get in these spots, that's gonna start to really give us dimension in a different way. So it's in these shadowy parts of the petals, and you'll start to see like, ooh, it's working. Okay, I like this. I'm gonna soften up around it in a second. Remember, there's lots of ways you can do this. Just trying to remember, I guess like if you do the 30-day series, you'll have so many tips and tricks up your sleeve that you'll be like, okay, well, I know how to soften it, or I know how to lift it, or whatever. And so you can just kind of be more free with your painting. Okay, I'm getting a medium color on my brush, and I'm just gonna add that to this petal without trying to blend it too much. And I really had to have good water control for that, otherwise they'll just bleed right into each other. But like, this is coming along, right? Before we get any further, I say, what if we fill in that center and do our green? Because I think that will give us like an even more more understanding of where we're at, and then we'll know kind of what else we want to do to this. So I'm gonna get a little puddle, tip of my brush only, into my water, little tiny puddle of this yellow. I'm gonna load it right in here. If it bleeds a tiny bit, I'm okay. If it bleeds a ton, I'm gonna be irritated, right? So I need to control my water. Okay, and then let's get that green mixed up. So let me shift this. I'll mix up my green with you. I'm gonna take some of this on the bottom, which is like a tree green, maybe a little bit of this olive. You could add yellow into it. Just make sure you like it. That's what's important. Grabbing, I just noticed I'm grabbing little bits, bringing them in, mixing it, looking at it. What does it need more of is the question I ask. So I like this, and then I'm gonna need another puddle of that that's darker. So I'm trying to recreate it with less water. Make sense? So that feels good, that feels good. I'm gonna clean out my brush, add a little bit of water to this one. And then I've got 2 puddles. So we come back. And you do want control here, so you don't want a whole bunch of water on your brush. So if you touch your brush to your towel first, that's fine. But then we're gonna just fill this in, kind of just coloring book style for a second. Light on the tip of your brush when you're in these little tight spaces. And when they're all, you know, we're just doing the lighter value right now, so we can do them all as if they're just one shape. There we go. And then I say let's just let that, okay, I'll do one thing first. I touched my dark paint and I'm just gonna go on one side of this. It's just gonna give a little bit of a nice color bleed there. Then from here, I'm gonna dry all of this and we'll come right back. Okay, before we start zhuzhing our petals, let's get into that darker green. Remember, this has a little bit less water. And here we're gonna look at this and we're gonna chunk in some dark colors again. You don't have to worry about blends if you don't want. So light on the tip of your brush, and I'm just noticing that the darker green is sort of on the right side here. It looks like when I did the original one, I did this while it was maybe still wet, so I have a different bleed, but like that doesn't make it better, it just makes it slightly different. And then I want to distinguish these a little, so some of this on the right side of this first petal. Then we're going to leave the two small ones light, and we're just going to do this, and because we've already dried it, it won't bleed. So cute, right? So then from here, if you're like, I wish I had some blends though, I'll clean my brush and dry it. I've got that damp brush. Just run it along. Wherever you want that blend, just take your damp brush and you'll just get a little bit of a softness. It's pretty good, huh? I'm loving this one. I need a little shadow under here, I think. And squint your eyes and take a picture of it on your phone and look at that, because that'll be tiny, you know? And we'll just kind of keep going. I'm really liking the Peony already. I don't think it needs a lot, but what I find I want later on sometimes is like richness in color. So remember that puddle of pink that I made? I'm gonna actually use just a little bit of that, and I'm gonna see what happens here. Like if I just swipe like this, and maybe where else do I want some richness? Like here, I just want a little bit more of a pretty color to it. I've done my values. Now I'm kind of in that mid range, and I'm like, yeah, but I want a little bit more pretty. So I'm coming back, because you are only done when you say you're done. And one thing that really helps you to be better at art and call yourself an artist is when you don't give up too soon. So keep on with those layerings until you think you're done. And if you're not sure, go get a snack and come back. And then look again, but just give yourself sort of the gift of perspective through time. Okay, so I am darkening up the bottoms of those, but really leaving those light ones light. And I am taking a damp brush and I'm just kind of softening up any of the edges of what I just did. If I tried it on stuff that's already dry, it's gonna kind of lift up your paint weird. So just a little bit of this, softening it up. I'm like really digging this. I hope you are too. And if you like this, do it 3 times, you know, because the more you do it, the better you get at it, the more natural it becomes. And then when you have a sketchbook and no reference, you might remember it too. You guys are so fun. Thank you for painting with me. Oh wait, one more thing. I was getting ready to say goodbye. Hold on. Take your brush, very, very little water, but just maybe the tip of your brush. Get into like a nice brown or reddish brown, burnt sienna, something like that. So we have very little on here, very controlled. And let's get in and just add either some darkness on one side or some dots or something. Let's vary that center. I cleaned my brush and dried it. I'm gonna actually soften that up a bit. Don't lose your yellow. So I kind of lost my yellow here. Look at, I'm scrubbing this off. Okay, I'm going right into a bright yellow real quick while it's still wet. Now I got it back. Okay, but I think it's cool to have that little variation in color where the yellow is darker, like as it fades behind the petals too. And now you did it. Oh, let's write Peony on here. I don't know if I do that on the sketch videos or the painting ones, but today it's on this one. Peony. I would love to see your artwork if you want to share it. We've got our Facebook group, Audrey's Art Club, and I will see you next week for another flower.